Good evening, friends, and welcome to another edition of the Bill Crane Report with Duane Weiss. And this is going to be a dandy tonight. We've got an awful lot of stuff to cover. Duane has been on vacation for the last couple of weeks, and Duane is going to swear that I've sandbagged him here with some of this stuff.
Oh, I know he did.
But I got to tell you, I got a lot of stuff to talk to you folks about. But first of all, let's have a little cleanup here of some issues that have been hanging around. First of all, a lot of you have complained about the sound on the television. You're not able to hear this show. Well, this breaks my heart because Duane and I put a lot into this program, and if you can't hear it, we've failed. Well, guess what? We found the glitch. It's been repaired, and we're going to have good sound from this point on. If you don't, please call the station right here, 508-520-2780, and tell them that you can't hear it. We'll get them all over it. Number two, we have a firm schedule for the show. The schedule is we are on Saturday afternoons at 4 p.m., Monday evenings in prime time at 8 p.m., Tuesday at noontime, 12 p.m., and Thursday morning at 9 a.m. So, we're there for your viewing pleasure 4 times a week, and we're also available on norfolkcable.com. Click on View, click on Programs, and there we are, all cached away, all of our programs. And at the end of the show, you'll notice a new email. It's Billy Muskrat, all one word, Billy Muskrat @gmail.com. So you can now begin sending your comments and your death threats to this new email.
Let us hear from you.
Yeah,
we need the feedback.
Which I promise I'll look at more than once a month. On that note, we got some stuff breaking this morning. By the way, we're taping this on Friday morning, the 12th of June. And right now, there is a drama going on down in Washington. And I'm going to put Duane right on the hot seat. The House of Representatives is preparing to vote on the free trade proposal that President Obama wants desperately. He wants it for a reason, or is it his legacy? I ask you.
It's legacy.
His legacy.
I will
Do you know
it's legacy because it's going to hurt so many more people than it helps.
The complicating factors that bother me much more than the free trade proposal itself are the secrecies of the details in this treaty. Do we trust President Obama to negotiate the terms? Is there immigration language buried in there?
It's all there.
And the parties are juxtapositioned here. Republicans favor the bill overwhelmingly. Democrats oppose it. If Obama wins the vote in the House today or tonight, and he's there on Capitol Hill right now, hat in hand, saying, I know I haven't been here for 5 years. I know I treat you people like dirt. I don't even talk to you. But I'm here because you got to do the right thing and vote for this. If he wins the vote in the House, is this a major victory for him to pass a Republican-backed bill?
This may backfire. This very well could backfire, and it could be a detriment to him, not a plus.
All right. Now, this one here, I get lots of questions for you. Folks, this show is totally unrehearsed.
Yeah, we don't know what we're going to
afterwards,
say.
Duane may kill me, but nonetheless,
Maybe on the air.
if he wins or if he loses, who is the big winner and who is the big loser? In other words, who rises from the ashes of this conflagration?
Bill, I'm not informed enough right now to tell you that.
See, I've sandbagged him.
I've been gone for. I've been in an area we barely had TV for 2 weeks.
All they
Much
talk
less-
about is corn and hogs
and
out
hogs
there.
and oats and price of milk.
Well, my opinion, just quickly, is the winner. By the way, I think there's only going to be one winner here, or two winners.
Okay.
Two winners. If he, in fact, gets this through. The winners are going to be unions
Yep.
and unskilled workers.
Yep.
Because unskilled workers that work in factories, well, I guess we had a few of them left around here, are really going to be hurt by this because those factories and those jobs are going overseas.
Absolutely.
So I don't think that's a good
This
deal.
isn't the first time we faced this.
No.
You know. We did this back when Ross Perot said that sucking sound you hear
Absolutely.
in the North American Free
Yep.
Trade Act is going to be the jobs
NAFTA,
being flushed
that's
down
right.
the toilet.
It was.
It was right around here. We felt that in the jewelry making business and the high tech metals in Providence and Attleboro.
Yep. Seems to me that the loser, there's two of them, the American people. This is, the devil is in the details. And there is stuff in here that we are going to find repugnant. And that's why it's being kept secret. So the American people, I feel, are going to be the losers. And whoever said the American people don't have enough intelligence to look at a treaty like this and go thumbs up or thumbs down?
We do.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah. They hold us in contempt.
Oh, they hold us like we're idiots.
Obama holds us, President Obama, he is entitled to the title, has nothing but contempt
Yep.
for the American people. And the other loser? Hillary Clinton.
Yep.
Hillary Clinton has isolated. Do you remember Seinfeld and the show with George and the kid in the bubble?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what Hillary is. She's in a bubble. No questions. None of the unwashed can approach her and talk to her.
right.
And you stay away from me. I am not going to answer anything that's liable to come back and bite me in the butt.
Hillary's status goes down. Elizabeth Warren's status goes up.
Absolutely, because Elizabeth Warren is out opposing this.
Exactly.
Now, she's opposing it kind of low-key, but the far left whack jobs have said, hey, turn up the dial on this one.
Yep.
And she has. And she's coming out very strongly opposing this. All right? Hillary, for her totally gutless performance, whether she supports it or opposes it, looks like exactly what she is.
Yep.
A totally confused and flummoxed person.
Amen.
I'm thinking, this is just a couple of little things, before I get to the masterpiece here of today.
I'm afraid of that smirk on your face that's coming here.
I was thinking about changing the title of our show.
We've been through some crazy ones. Discuss that. Where are we going to go? Let's see.
Masterpiece Theater.
What? Up Masterpiece?
Masterpiece
Oh,
Theater.
Masterpiece Theater.
Masterpiece Theater. But it's a shame that PBS already has that.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Because this is a theater of the mind.
Why don't we take 60 minutes? Maybe nobody's got that.
All right. Now, for the most absurd quotation. Now, it's a shame you've been away, but I'm enjoying sandbagging you here. Billy Evans, the police commissioner for the city of Boston,
Right.
was quoted this morning on television. I saw the clip on NECN, okay? It was probably from yesterday, reacting to the shootings. Here it is. Are you ready for this? This is a very complex and deep conviction of his. And he really and truly speaks profoundly on this subject now. We've got to get guns off the street.
We've never heard that before.
He's a cardboard cutout, and he just keeps mumbling the same mantra.
Yeah.
By the way, he looks like he's on a birdseed diet, birdseed and water. My God.
I'm glad you said that.
We need to take him out for a steak dinner. What do you say? Shall we invite him?
Sure.
All right, we'll put it on the expense account here at the show.
Well, we have a huge one. We don't use much of it anyway.
All right, we'll take him someplace. God, he gives anorexia a bad name, I mean. God. Well, in the last decade, permits to carry have skyrocketed.
Yep.
Legal licensed gun owners have purchased more and more handguns. 40% of them are women. And crime has continued to go down.
Yes.
So, Commissioner Evans, how about a new mantra? Much more honest. We need to get crime and drugs off the street and get criminals in jail. How's that one, partner? Is that a little bit better? In jail where they belong.
Well, take the guns away from the criminals. Stop going after the legal people.
And we need to make neighborhoods safe.
Yep.
So here is your new mantra. It's not a gun problem, it's a crime problem.
Yep.
Address it. There. How
good.
did you like that?
I like that.
All right. Now,
Don't hold back, Bill.
all right. I have a question for you, and I think I'll get to it, because I have a rather lengthy editorial to read. I got writing it, and stuff that I should have said and haven't said it, and I've got to get to it. And I think afterwards we'll probably just let it sit for a while, because it's going to trigger a whole bunch of conversations I think we need to have. However, I have a question for you. Which is the most absurd, headache-causing set of circumstances? Is it watching Henley Ramirez try to play left field for the Red Sox? He looks like he's tiptoeing through a bloody minefield out there. Is it President Obama trying to understand the nuances of foreign policy and how to treat and work with allies? Is it Hillary Clinton attempting to run for president without interfacing with humans or answering questions, or talking to a Hillary supporter who is explaining to you that? Oh, yes, I should stop there. Interfacing with humans, or a separate thing. Or is it or talking to a Hillary supporter who is explaining to you that Hillary deserves it? It's her turn. It being the presidency. Which is the most mind-boggling of those four?
The fourth one, because there's no logic and no sense to it, and you cannot make any sense of it, nor can you convince that person.
I interfaced with a lady not long ago, and her eyes started bugging out.
Oh yeah, right away.
And she said, Hillary deserves it. It's time for a woman. It's her turn. Now, where in heaven's name is the logic to that?
There is no logic.
There is
to that
no logic
whatsoever.
Nothing about her qualifications. Nothing about any of her policies. Those are all well hidden. Nothing about what kind of a person she is. It is her turn.
Yep.
Give me
No
a
qualifications,
break.
anything else. It's simply her turn.
Unbelievable. Now, we had another incident on the news this morning as I was driving up here.
Okay.
A lady, I guess well known in the community on Cape Cod, was arrested by the police. She, I guess, this may not be totally correct, folks, but I guess she, if I got it right, owns a rental home and she has people in there, and she's been stealing pain pills from a little boy, prescription pain pills, that has some very debilitating, special, painful situation.
Mm-hmm.
The police arrested her, and the judge, because she is an upstanding member of the community, released her on her own recognizance.
Oh, well.
Yeah, somebody that steals from a child.
There's no.
And you know, I'm sorry, folks. Sorry. I'm not buying off on this. She's a victim. It's a disease. Baloney. Belongs in jail.
Little kid had a disease too.
Yeah, yeah. But
Far more serious one than
a
she's got.
hell of a lot more
A lot more
serious.
painful.
Yeah.
Yep.
And second of all, the ugly Americans. You know, when we go abroad, people hate us. But you know, 3 young ladies went to Malaysia, and they went up to the top of a sacred mountain in Malaysia and took all their clothes off.
Doesn't surprise me.
They were put in jail over in Malaysia, and after 3 days in jail, the Malaysian police arrested her. I imagine the the diplomatic corps was all over that. Well, they just, you know, blah, blah, they're just kids. And As far as I'm concerned, I'm all for sending them back to Malaysia, let them put them in jail over there, and let them keep them in jail.
When you step on somebody else's soil, you better be ready and able to abide by their rules and regulations.
It's like going to somebody's home.
Simply because you're an American doesn't mean that you can take whatever you can do at home and do it there. You recall back in Singapore, the young man that was scratching cars, skiing cars. They caught him and they sent him to be caned. Well, people in this country went nuts. How could you possibly cane a young man?
How could he possibly go out and key cars?
He knew that Singapore has very, very strict rules, but he does it anyway. Well, you wouldn't have to have that kind of punishment here in the United States. Well, you're not in the United States anymore.
Guess what? Yeah.
Yeah,
You're on foreign soil.
that's right.
This is another country.
I have never been to Singapore, but someplace it's on my bucket list because I know people have. It's clean, it's neat, but you follow their laws. You don't spit in the street because you can get thrown in jail for it.
You don't chew gum.
You don't chew gum. Well,
Because people spit that in the street.
that's right. Well, I kind of appreciate that.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
I'm not about to go there and spit in the street just because I can at home.
Yeah. In other words, they go over there and, hey, who are you to be telling me what
Right.
to do? There, I
right.
spit on the street. What sort of mentality
I don't know.
is that? It escapes me. Well, Duane, the moment has come.
All right. Is this the editorial moment?
Yes.
All right.
What you've been waiting for.
All right, folks. Settle back. Hope you got the popcorn made.
Put the coffee on and
Yeah.
get ready. I started to think about race relations. And it's obvious the president is never going to address it.
Nope.
So I said to myself,
Except to stir it up.
yeah, Bill and Duane are going to address it.
Yes, we will.
So I started writing a mini editorial that kind of turned into a maxi editorial. So for you folks that have something to do right now, or can't stand the thought of listening to me clatter on, this would be a good time to go out to the kitchen and make that bologna sandwich. Maybe make a hit to the head or whatever, because I'll still be talking when you come back.
Let the dog out.
Let the dog out, let the cat in. Yeah. President Obama, the impediment to racial progress. He has never had a series of sit-down chats with the American people about racial relations. He's never spoken about it without a teleprompter in an unrehearsed manner and speaking from the heart. He's never done this. And this problem is the problem that divides us in this country. What is his problem? Does he lack compassion? Does he lack the ability to verbalize his feelings? What are his feelings? You know, we are 6.5 years into this national nightmare of his presidency, and we still do not understand this man. From his book, when asked about his mother, he said, "Oh, she was a typical white woman." Why has no one asked what he meant by this? Who is this man in the White House? Now, when the country is being torn asunder by this racial divide based on mistrust, misunderstanding, and all too often hatred, why can't he lead and get the problems out on the table? Duane and I are going to put them on the table right here. Why can't he look people in the eye and say, we need to talk? No, his time is consumed by golf, fundraisers, playing footsies with the beautiful people out on the left coast, and jetting about on meaningless journeys that accomplish nothing. And all the while, cities burn, riots flare up, and people die needlessly. Young people, police, alike. Yes, Mr. President, I'm laying this at your doorstep. I think it's too easy to dismiss this president as merely being feckless, wishy-washy, uncaring, or for that matter, uninterested. His presidency is in shambles. Even his own party realizes that. But I can't believe this man is all veneer and has no core. Why can't he overcome his caution, step up and say, we must face this issue together? What is he so afraid of? Is it afraid of failing? Is it his legacy that holds him back? Because if it is, I have a news flash for him. His legacy is already in shambles. So forget about it, Mr. President. Step up and lead. How hard is that? Or maybe this is a Democrat thing, to only speak when totally rehearsed, or with various lapdogs or sycophants, such as Candy Crowley or George Stephanopoulos feeding him softballs, or to read a speech from a teleprompter. Look at Hillary Clinton. She's so unsure of herself, she doesn't dare to talk to common folk in an unrehearsed manner. No, it all has to be done in a pre-programmed and stilted fashion. By the way, Hillary's idea of a press conference was clarified last week. Her idea of a press conference or a question and answer is a speech. She said she will address all the questions in the speech. So nobody has any need to ask her any questions. She actually put this out, or one of her aides did, put it out in that fashion last week. You know, the same thing happens when Senator Elizabeth Warren is on the dais meeting with folks, and someone asks her an unscripted, a tough question. Her aides grab her as you would a misbehaving child, and they whip her off stage in a nanosecond. So in retrospect, maybe this is in all the Democrats' genes, and they can't help themselves. After all, you're only as good as your DNA, I guess. End of chapter 1. Beginning of chapter 2. Solutions. President Obama and Attorney General Holder spent 6.5 years ducking the issue, so who am I to suggest solutions that eluded these two superbrains? But nonetheless, that's not going to stop me. So here it goes.
Okay, let's do it.
What are the problems that we have causing unrest in the minority communities that strain race relations? Jobs. There is dignity in work, in pulling your own weight, in improving yourself, in standing on your own 2 feet. The military, a great place to figure out who you are, how to accomplish tasks by working together, and getting your head screwed on straight, and then learning skills that last a lifetime. Education. We need a Marshall Plan for the cities, and education along with jobs has to be in the forefront. Safe streets and neighborhoods. This requires blacks, whites, police, and churches to all work together to that end. The community and their churches must work together to reinforce and rebuild family values and spiritual values. We must listen to the words of our Creator. The community must bring their youngsters to church and to Sunday school. They must instill the proper lifestyle and teach the young to reject the lifestyle of the streets. Drugs, killings, prostitution, crime. Living the lifestyles of the streets is a poor foundation for the rest of your life because it promises prison, no further education, addiction, and in many cases an early and violent death. The community must become introspective. They must get their act together. A nanny government cannot do it. They must do it themselves. And the government can then augment these efforts. But it must start from within the community. What's lacking is good, intelligent leadership. The community must reject the charlatans who involve themselves in the chaos that now exists in so many urban areas. People such as Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson should be put out to pasture somewhere. We need to have enterprise zones in cities and urban areas to provide inner city dwellers good jobs. But people must be educated and trained to do these jobs in a competent manner. We cannot just put up a factory or a business and hire people and simply have them go through the motions in a slipshod or brain-dead manner. You must meet certain standards and have a positive manner about you, yourself, to be hired. So we're back to education again. It's where it all starts. We as a society must demand that men and women who make children pay for those children and properly raise such offspring. It is not right for the offspring produced by recreational or anonymous sexual interludes to be paid for by hard-working taxpayer dollars. You've seen signs in antique stores? I'm sure. And it says, you break it, you pay for it. How about a national slogan for all of us to abide by? You make the baby, you pay for the baby. No exceptions. So, by the way, I just did that out of order.
All right.
You'll allow me to ramble backwards here a little bit?
Go ahead.
So, continue on with beginning our racial dialogue. Steps that we can take. stop referring to one another by color labels. We are all human beings and all children of our Creator, God Almighty. We need to start acting that way. We need to look at the situation as it is now, not how it was. If we continue to live in the past, we will remain trapped in the past and never extricate ourselves from the darkness, hatred, and mistrust. Now listen up to the next one, folks. Our Lord Jesus Christ taught us we must love one another as I have loved you. We must unite in this deal. We must unite in this ideal.
Same thing.
Same thing. I firmly believe that with all my heart. We got to stop referring to each other as honkies, N-words, black trash, white devils. We got to understand we are all sons and daughters of God. He wants us to love one another as He loved us. You don't need anything more to live by, in my estimation. So what is the current situation, at least in most cases? A young black child is born to a single, unmarried parent who may be very young and not ready to be a mother or a competent parent. The father may be known or not, but for the most part plays a very small role in raising the child, or sadly, children, and provides little, if any, financial support.
Correct.
In most cases, the raising of the family is left to a grandparent. God love them. Proper nutrition, medical care, early education, family structure, and love are merely pipe dreams or vague concepts of a far-fetched nature in bringing these children up. They are raised in big cities, in ghettos. There's no better word for it. You can't clean it up. They live in substandard housing. Their neighborhoods leave little to be desired and are unsafe at best and killing zones at worst. They are drug-ridden, and the dealers and the pimps suffice as role models. As stated earlier, the family unit is non-existent. The children growing up have no network of family as a basis for support or help or mentoring as they mature. They have, in many, many instances, never learned about God, let alone be brought to church. So when you grow up aimless without a sound foundation or moral strength, you flounder. When they attend school, they discover the entire system is substandard, and unfortunately, we discover in many cases a dumping ground for the poorest, least effective teachers in the system. Maintaining some form of order and decorum to provide an atmosphere for teaching or learning is an impossibility in many cases, especially for the poor teachers who are thrust into these hellholes along with the children. In most cases, there is no parental family support to help the kids to make sure homework is done and working with the children to make sure they understand what they are being taught, that they understand the concepts. When graduation day arrives, a rare event in many school districts, the children find themselves totally unprepared for life as an adult in the real world. Many cannot read and write on an adult and functional level. Many have no marketable job skills and are trapped to a marginal job future. And as their parents, grandparents, and generations before turn to the welfare system, the government dole, this further disincentivizes any personal growth, any further education, and really, in fact, degrades personal self-respect. No one worth their salt wishes to live month to month on handouts from a government bureaucracy. But there are some the system hasn't beaten down that want to succeed. But in these cities, there are no jobs to be found. So, there are no jobs to be found. So to find work and try to become self-sufficient, they must go to the suburbs. But in many cases, there is no network of viable mass transportation, i.e. people movers. These young people cannot afford to buy a car, get insurance, and then have the knowledge and sophistication and persistence to go and successfully find employment that offers a future. College, in many, many cases, is a dream that is light years away from them, as they are not prepared intellectually or financially to further their education. They also lack an interested, knowledgeable father, mother, or grandparent to help them by mentoring them, helping them financially, or just spend time talking them through their dreams, suggesting agencies who might help them go forward. No, in most young black lives, there's no such support system or network. They are left on street corners where the proper way to live is discarded or unknown. Religious beliefs are ridiculed, and the phony glamour and the phony guidance of the siren song of sex, drugs, and rock and roll 24/7 is preached. Yes, rap music with its foul lyrics and explicit video games with sex and violence do their part to erode any chance of these youngsters to live a good life, and they end up on the curbs peddling drugs or as prostitutes peddling their own bodies, as the whirlpool pulls them further down until they're on the bottom. This is very sad to contemplate, or it must be horrifying to live.
Well done, Mr. Crane.
Thank you. I have one further comment on this, in this vein. Well, I do have a little bit more, come to think of it. I'm going to hold that back.
Okay.
So now all of the proceeding has manifested itself into a situation that finds a very serious friction point, and that is the face-off between the police and law and order, and very frustrated young blacks who see no future. How do we address this question? First off, there is no way that rioting, looting, arson, physical attacks, or murder can be justified due to any level of frustration. All citizens, regardless of race, ethnicity, or any other manner of judgment, must adhere to our laws and act in a civilized, law-abiding fashion. Mob rule is not acceptable for any reason or pretext, nor can a civilized authority tolerate or ignore it while quaking in fear of what may happen if law enforcement measures cause escalation. We noticed how that happened down in Baltimore when they, if we don't back off, they're going to burn the city down. You can't allow
Can't allow
that
that.
to happen. The laws of this land must be strictly observed at all times. If this is not understood, the next step must be the implementation of martial law, and I can't think of one person in this country that's in favor of that.
No.
But it may be necessary. Also, when a disturbance is festering in a locale or community, people who come into the area from other territories to agitate and escalate the crisis must be arrested and charged with deliberate intent to incite a riot and face a lengthy prison term. The police in this country play a pivotal and important role in law enforcement and to national tranquility and security. They must be intelligent, honest, courageous, decent, physically fit human beings. Because of the nature of law enforcement, they must be held and hold themselves to a much higher standard of behavior. They cannot allow even as much as the perception of wrongdoing to stain their character. They must be as well trained as possible. They must be personable, stable, calm, reasonable, courteous, caring, and fair as a person can be. And if you're sitting at home saying, how can we possibly, or how can I be that? How can I be all those things as a cop? My advice to you, find another line of work, because that's what you've got to be successful. And that's what we, as citizens, must demand of you. They must constantly be reaching out to the community. They must know their community and be attuned to its goings-on, its pulse, if you will. They must be constantly interfacing with the community. When they stray from these norms, they must be disciplined, retrained, and if they don't get it, discharged. Again, let me repeat. The police must be held and must hold themselves to a higher behavioral and competency level than the rest of us. The so-called blue wall of silence with police must be dismantled, and those who refuse must be terminated. This us versus them rhetoric has to stop. The same goes for the community. And the no snitching policy. Again, this us versus them mindset that must be broken down and overcome. The police must work with the community, and the community must trust and respect the police. This breach between the races and between institutions thereof, if you will, must be repaired. Love and respect will heal this breach, but it starts with conversations and communication and understanding and a common desire to repair what is broken and what must be repaired. If not, all that is left is anarchy. Finally, respect must be had by law enforcement, but respect must be earned by law enforcement by their words and by their deeds.
Amen. Well, I think, though, that very aspect of the qualifications and the attitudes of the police has improved recently.
Yeah, but it's got 50 miles to go yet, though.
Go back what it was 10 or 20 years ago.
Can't live in the past.
I know, but go just and then look at the progression. It's a lot different now. It is here.
I really wish it were. I really wish I could agree with you on that. But
it's still there.
the distrust between the community and the police, though, is still there.
Yeah, but that sometimes that's bred in the family too.
Okay, now, with that said, I only have one addition to this rambling discourse. This is a small editorial written by the Reverend Mark V. Scott, who is the associate pastor of the Azusa Christian Community and co-chairman of the Youth Violence Reduction Task Force. My friends, if you want to turn off everything I've said and everything I will say today, please hear these words. On a beautiful Sunday afternoon over Memorial Day weekend, a 7-year-old child was shot while riding his bike on Bowden Street. An hour later, a man was shot in the back nearby on Radcliffe Street. On the following Tuesday afternoon, someone shot into a passing car just around the corner from where the child was injured. Those brazen daylight shootings came on the heels of more gunplay last week, when a man was blasted twice in the head on Thursday afternoon near a playground, just after a local school let out. This is my neighborhood. I live here. My family is here. I am a pastor here. These are great neighborhoods in Dorchester and Roxbury, full of people of all ages, many walks of life, and from every corner of the world. We've worked hard and long to build a community. We've seen some success, but some things still have to change. I watched a video of the child shot on Bowden. He was writhing on the ground, injured. I was surprised and saddened that no one, not one man, not one woman, knelt down to help a little boy in trouble. Men should have poured out of our barbershops, businesses, and homes to aid a child in distress. It is a disgrace that they did not. Someone should have been willing to take a risk, even if they waited until the shooters had departed. When we say Black Lives Matter in protest, we need to back that up on our own streets and help a wounded child. And when we say Black Lives Matter, it should mean that those of us who saw something have to say something. The police say they are hunting for a teen suspect in the shooting of that little boy. But in too many of these daytime attacks, no one has been willing to step up. No one has been willing to speak out. Black lives need to matter enough for us to be outraged that a child was shot and that no one helped him. Black lives need to matter enough for us to break the code of silence. These shootings must stop. If we speak out, we make it more costly for the criminals in our community to pick up a gun. Black lives also need to matter enough for leaders of this community to provide jobs and economic opportunities for youths, to entice them away from gangs. Tonight, neighborhood residents will come together at the Teen Center at St. Peter's on Bowden Street to meet with the police and city officials and continue talking about real solutions. My hope is that one day, soon, we can bring peace and prosperity to our streets and show that black lives do matter. I clipped this perhaps 2 weeks ago. Doesn't appear to have had any effect on the streets of Boston.
Apparently not.
We still have blacks killing blacks.
But it's not just Boston.
No, it's everywhere.
Look at Baltimore over Memorial Day weekend, 27 shootings, 8 dead.
Yeah, and where was the demonstrations after that?
Where was the Black Lives Matter?
Yeah.
Hands up, don't shoot.
That's right, yeah. Well, I mean, is there a double standard here?
Yes, there is.
Yes, there is.
Absolutely, there is.
And that is the correct answer.
Yep.
And now, friends, I think we'll just let that drop for a bit.
Okay.
Because I caught you totally unawares. And I think we need to think on this and have further discussions.
Oh, I got a lot of ideas I've put together.
And
we don't always agree on some of these, right? But I did notice traveling around the country this past couple weeks, no matter where I went, where we went, as far as jobs goes, there are jobs. Almost every store has a help wanted sign in it. Almost every place has a help wanted sign. We went by a couple of them that were given bonuses to come in to sign out. So some of these kids that say, well, we can't get jobs, that's why we run the streets and stuff. That's not true. They're not getting $50,000 jobs, but they're getting jobs that they didn't have before. And you got to start somewhere. If you walk out of that high school and you didn't pay a damn bit of attention to the whole time there, you're not going to step into a $45,000 or $50,000 job. You may get a job at Sears, or you may get a job.
You may well not be even able to make out a job application.
Yeah, but once you can, that's where you start. Then you go from there to there to there.
Absolutely.
But
my first job was $1.35 an hour, and I was in the packaging room putting screws and bolts and nuts, 100 to a box or 200 to a box.
You were
rich. I was.
My job, I paid 65 cents an hour.
And I was the happiest guy in the world to have a job. It was wonderful. So now I've got potpourri.
Oh boy, here we go.
And I thought that this was important enough to comment on, so I wrote a few words about this. Our Senate President, Stan Rosenberg, had a little discussion on the legalization of marijuana. The public must be heard, he proclaimed. Well, Billy must be heard, Mr. President. We have a representative form of government in our land. We expect reps and senators to evaluate bills, listen to their constituents, and make decisions on proceeding based on what is right, what is wise, and to make these decisions courageously. The Senate President is weaseling here in typical State House fashion. A lack of backbone in the State House is a common trait.
That's nothing new.
By the way. And what is really bottom line is they don't want to vote on this. Real leaders, like Governor Baker, Attorney General Healy, who, by the way, is turning out to be a dandy.
Yes, she is.
And House Speaker DeLeo, have made their opinions known, and they oppose the legalization of marijuana. We cannot have Massachusetts governed by initiative petitions. But guys like Rosenberg fear the electorate.
That might be Freudian.
And cling to power by waffling and passing the buck. After all, he must cling to power to enjoy all its trappings and stay in office to continue padding his pension. I'm sure that's something near and dear to his heart also.
That's the bottom line.
Just when you think it can't get any worse, another 24-carat beauty parades on stage to captivate us with a totally useless performance. But while passing out criticism, how about the senators, the total useless majority who voted for him to be president? What a bunch of beauties they are. But are any of you surprised?
Nope. We'll elect the same losers over and
And
over,
over
and
again.
over.
You know, we just got the sign that we have to stop talking here. So, in a few minutes, I have about one filler left.
Go ahead.
Have you listened to the radio and heard Cars for Kids over and over?
That's one of
and
them things.
over and over.
Can't get that song out of your head.
And I just wish I could meet that kid so I could reach down his throat and yank his
Yep,
tonsils
I know.
out.
That's one of them that bothers me, too.
Oh, God. Well, I did some homework on Cars for Kids. You can't find any information about them, folks. What we did find was that they are not an organization, Cars for Kids. It's a name. That's what it is. They are actually a shadow company for Oorah, which means awaken. And it then, I'm sorry, let me restate that. Cars for Kids is a shadow company for Joy for Our Youth,
Okay, yep, that's right.
which in turn doesn't exist, and it is just a front for Oorah, a Haredi missionary organization. Now, Haredis are the most theological, conservative form of Judaism. And all the money raised goes to a program for private schooling and other educational programs to bring Jewish school children and adults closer to their heritage and to live a full Jewish life. I don't have any problem with that.
No, but just
But-
things are not what they seem.
That's exactly right. Why hide this?
Yep.
Okay? And you cannot get any information from any one of those three about what percentage of the money raised goes to the kids.
You'll be shocked, folks, when we start coming up with some of this.
That's exactly right. And 2 states
Okay.
have moved against these people, and they are being investigated
Yep.
by, and 2 states have fined these people.
We'll continue this.
For,
this
for
subject. I got some, too.
deceptive
Yeah.
advertising, and I think our dandy little Attorney General
This time we'll do something.
really should, this program needs to advise her that we're outraged.
Yep.
Are you outraged?
I am, because I've
There.
been for a long time. I called one time, want to know your 501(c) number.
Yep.
They didn't have one.
Yeah. It's an interesting conundrum,
Yep.
if you will. Well, friends, I really thank you for tuning in. I hope you learned something today, enjoyed the program. We welcome your feedback, and I promise you next time I will give you a much more varied program of a real bushel barrel of Duane and myself's complaints.
You get a lot of them.
So, good night, good health,
Take care. Enjoy the summer.
and yes, we'll be here to help you enjoy it.
That's right.